Hello everyone, it is Curiosity here with you today for a updated deck profile of the Mastemon deck. For those that are new here, I constantly play Mastemon for the Digimon TCG game, and I've been updating it, trying to get it better as we can, and hopefully this is something that I'll be taking to Nats. It is updated with BT-14 goodies, with EX-5 being just around the corner next week. So we're going to start with our eggs first, which are over here. I am currently just running 4 Kiramons, which are these lovelies here. I find that they are more fun to run, being a yellow-based Mastemon deck now. The jamming is really nice, especially when I get my Angelmon or my Lady Dev out. Angelmon specifically, I can swing without being too stressed about losing my Angelmon and then easily be able to DNA into Mastemon kind of thing. Onto our level 3s, starting off with the Patamon. This BT-14 card is amazing and really helps out for Mastemon deck specifically. It's pretty nice when you can Digivolve in the back. And then, of course, once it goes onto the field, it activates its main phase effect, which essentially allows you to grab a level 4 from your security and Digivolve into it. And then you get to add a vaccine into your security stack. So pretty cool, pretty useful, especially kind of pulling from that vaccine, which again is why we're kind of leaning more to a yellow deck versus a or yellow base deck versus a purple base deck. So Patamons, obviously running 4, especially because they're not banned, so we got to run them. My other level 3s are kind of, I'm still debating on these a little bit, but I am running the Salamon from ST10. Because it is nice to have that DNA option underneath, especially if I don't get the Gabumon in the Digi-Evolution. So it's pretty nice to have that kind of extra little DNA Digivolve option. So I'm running 2 of those. And because it is potentially going to Nats, I am running a Pillamon. I'm also contemplating Cutemons, but I don't have any, so I'm trying to get those because I have to search some bulk to find them. Pillamon is pretty good too because it's a good floodgate to just hard play, and players can't use Digivolve or Digimon effects and they can't play them out. So that's pretty sweet. Kind of works like how my Gauzies used to, or how Psychmons were in the past as well. That's what we kind of run there. Level 4s, of course. You cannot play the Mastemon deck without the Gatomon. Especially for the DNA inheritance that you get from that. It's a great card, especially with the on play and revealing the top 3 of your deck, grabbing a purple and a yellow Digimon. Doesn't have any specifications, so you can run this in theory for other decks as well, because it just specifies a purple and yellow Digimon, which is pretty nice. But your turn with the reducing Digi-Evolution cost onto an Angel, Archangel, or Fallen Angel is pretty nice. So Gatomon, always a staple for Mass Days, forever and ever, which is amazing. I am running some BT-14 Angemons as well. This kind of pairs with the Patamon because the Patamon allows you to reduce its Digi-Evolution cost for 2 instead of for 3, which is good. And then, of course, you have kind of its advantages of activating one of the effects, so you can actually delete a virus Digimon, or you can give negative 5,000 for a turn, which is pretty nice. And then, of course, it has an on deletion effect too, so you really kind of want this deleted so it can get put into your security and give you a free hatch if you need it, which is pretty good. Other things I'm running for level 4 include our sort of Angemon Devimon package. So, of course, you have the level 4 Angemon. These are great for a reduced Digi-Evolution cost because they only cost 2 compared to Gatomon, or which costs 3 effectively. Angemon, I'm running 2 of them because my goal is to, of course, get my Devimon in the trash. And once the Angemon's deleted, I can play this without paying any costs, and then I can gain Rush and Retaliation. so long as I have a yellow Digimon or Tamer in play, which is pretty nice. So it's great for that. And of course, because this is a Mastemon deck and we're running a lot of angels and archangels and fallen angels, you can grab these very easily and it makes it a lot easier. The other card for level 4s that I'm running is a Geo Greymon, only one because you are restricted to only having one in your deck now. But of course, this is such a huge card, especially for Mastemon deck, considering we're running TKs and we're running Mireis, which are both yellow-based Tamers. Not only does that allow me to pull out the Tamers from my security, but this card also gives me advantage of checking my security pretty early on, which means that I can kind of see what's in my security and know how I want to play out those items as needed. Of course, being more of a security-based deck. And again, I get to play red or yellow Tamer, but of course we're only focusing on the yellow Tamers for the Mastemon deck specifically. And then the recovery one, of course, is nice. The inheritance is pretty good too, considering the BT-14 TK has a lot of suspending to gain 1 memory, which then allows you to kind of get your 3,000 or less Digimon deleted from your opponent's side, which is pretty fun. Level 5s, of course, you're going to see a lot of angel friends and fallen angel friends that are all chilling here. So to start with, of course, we are running our BT-11 Angelmons. Pretty straightforward, especially on top of the Gato. They only cost 1, which is sweet, I have to say. Getting to, again, filter in your security, you get to kind of control a little bit on what you're pulling out, because you can pull out an angel, archangel, or fallen angel, which comes in clutch if you're missing one of the pieces to get into Mastemon. I find that when I have Mastemon literally sitting in my security, this helps me grab it out and I'm ready to go kind of thing, which is pretty good. And of course, the once per turn, when a Lady Devi or a Mirei are played, I can gain 1 memory automatically, which really triggers nicely if it's the only Digimon on your field. You get that Mirei out and you get to tap it to add the Lady Dev, for example, and then you get to recover that 1 memory back, which can really help you in a pinch to keep your turn. The other Angelmons that I'm running is I'm currently running 2 X antibodies, kind of debating between these 2 and the ST Angelmons that give you the inheritance of a +1 security. I find that these are a little bit more beneficial only because you still get the effect of reducing your opponent, giving them that -1 security attack, and you get to recover 1 just because you've Digivolved. And of course, it's really nice when you get to Digivolve for 0 on top of your Angelmons, which is always pretty nice. For Lady Devs, because we are... Normally I run the BT3 Lady Dev, but because it only Digivolves off of purple, I've decided to make a switch to the ST10, and this is the beautiful alt art. Just gonna leave that there for you. It's pretty good because it kind of runs similar to how the Gato runs, except you can only add 1 yellow or purple Digimon that is Angel, Archangel, or Fallen Angel. So it kind of runs similar to, so if you're still fishing for, let's say, one of those last pieces that you might need, it does that work for you. And of course, it still gives at least the yellow Digimon retaliation once you do go into Mastemon. So it's pretty good when you're in a pinch and you really need to fish for something. Also, it is 6,000 DP, which is pretty nice, of course, when you get that Flame Health Scythe in security and you get to pull it out. You have an extra body on the field that can kind of go from there. And then, of course, we have our BT-11 Lady Devies. Same idea as the Angelmons. Essentially, I'm getting to trash stuff, so I can really get that Chaos mode into the trash if I need to, or get the Devimon for Rush into the trash or anything that I need there. Helps me out there. And then again, with the same Mirei trick, you can tap Mirei, bring out the Angelmon, recover 1 memory, which is always super awesome. Running the Lucimon Chaos mode, of course, this has to be in the trash, which then gets Mastemon to really kind of pick pieces out. Once you Digivolved into the Mastemon, of course, you get to delete, if you do decide to pull out Lucimon, you get to delete either a Tamer from your opponent or a level 6 Digimon. This is really good when you're dealing with decks that have a lot of Tamers and you can kind of bypass different things. Found it very useful against like Crossheart decks, especially because they save underneath the Tamers. So it's really important in how you kind of trigger the effects from Mastemon versus from Chaos Mode, especially against stuff like that. And then, of course, we're running our Magna Angemon Aces. The amount of times now I've kind of set myself up with a Gatomon left on the field so I can ace into this is very useful. Pretty good counter, overflow 3, so it's not too much of an issue when you do end up with that overflow if your opponent does take it off of the field in any way. But pretty good if you're trying to just get that extra recovery, kind of builds up more of a safety net for you in your security, which is pretty good. And of course, it reduces for every card that you have in your security, you can reduce 1,000, which means that if you have 5 in your security and Magna allows you to add that extra one, you can essentially reduce something by 6,000, which can be pretty good if you want to reduce whatever's swinging at you. And then you check your security. If it's greater than whatever they were reduced, you're pretty good. So that's what I'm running for my level 5s. Level 6s, I'm only running 3 Mass Days. I find that I do get my Mass Days pretty easily, but maybe that's just luck of the draw. I do know a lot of people tend to run 4, which is completely valid as well, because this is your trump card, right? You want to get that DNA going as fast as you can. So 3 of these is pretty good for me, but I have debated on using 4. I don't think you can really go wrong with having a Mastemon in a Mastemon deck, especially with the DNA Digivolve and you getting to put a card into your security and pull out a level 5 or lower. And then Mastemon, of course, when something's played by an effect, you get to delete the equal or lower level on your opponent's side of a Digimon, which is pretty good because you pull out a level 5. Like, for example, you bring out the Lucemon Chaos Mode and you delete, let's say, using Mastemon, you delete your opponent's level 5 Digimon first. See what happens with that. And then your Lucemon Chaos Mode can either choose to delete a level 6 Digimon or a Tamer. So like I was mentioning before with the Cross Heart, it's pretty useful in that sort of sense when you time it correctly, which is pretty good. The other level 6s, I kind of actually just switched this back like before I started recording this, is Ophani Fall Down modes. Always useful because you do get that recovery and you can delete a level 4 as long as you have yellow and purple in the inheritance, so which is pretty good. I was debating on Seraphimon as well. I've been playing with it for a bit, but my thing with Seraphi is I find that I end up not getting the security attack +1 because I Digivolve into past turn. At least with this, I kind of have that chance of slowing down my opponent at least a little bit, which is pretty good. And then for level 7s, we are currently running Ordean, of course, because if you have your Mastemon, you obviously want to DNA again into a level 7. If you're playing against an opponent with a very wide deck, Bloom Lord, what's the other one there? Fenrir as well. It can be pretty good to save you in a pinch when you have the Ordean and you DNA into it. And then you basically eliminate your opponent's entire field and you get to recover all that. So I've seen times where you can recover from having only 1 security going back up to like 8 or 9 because of the widespread decks. So Ordean is obviously a very good choice for level 7s. The other one that we're running is Shine Gray. I do rotate this with Death X though, so depending on what we're at, but I think for Nats, I'm probably going to be taking in our good friend Shine Gray with us. Really nice to give that field 5,000 DP across the board, especially if they don't have anything on their field and they're about to push out some lower level Digimons. It really kind of prevents your opponent from bringing out smaller bodies that can just try to swing. So that's nice. And then, of course, deleting the Digimon and getting that recovery +1 is pretty good too. So nice level 7 to have. As for our Tamers, I'm running 3 Mireis. Gaining a memory at the start of each of your turns is pretty good, so that's awesome. And of course, with the Geo Gray, getting this out for free is amazing, especially when you only have that 1 Digivolve into, for example, Angemon or Lady Dev. Suspend this, play the other one out for free, DNA into Mastemon. It's gold. It's wonderful. So I'm running 3 of those. I'm only running 1 good old BT-1 PK. This just helps me fish for yellow cards and see my security and allow me to filter a bit better in there. And then, of course, when you pull out a yellow card, I get to recover 1, so it helps me with control a bit more there. Running 2 BT-14 TKs. I have debated on using 3, but for now, because the Mastemon deck is just so tight with stuff that you can run, I am only running 2. This works really well with the Patamon as well, because Patamon gets you to put stuff in and out of security, allowing you to just suspend the TK and gain 1 memory. So big win there. And then, of course, it's on play effect. And for a very cheap cost of 3, you can't go wrong with something like that in your deck. Option cards. I am running 1 Calling from Darkness. This is what helps me get some of my purple cards, especially because the deck heavily runs more focused on vaccines. So because it's running more on that end, I need to find a way to be able to get out those purple cards. So Calling from Darkness is always a good way to go with that. Reinforcing Memory Boost. Very useful for when you're sort of in a pinch, and the gaining 3 memory also very useful. You get to kind of control what ends up in your hand and what ends up in your security. And again, you can kind of trigger this with the TK, which is pretty awesome too. 2 Emissary of Hopes. I found that these were very useful, especially for getting, you can get literally anything that's a level 6 or lower to Digivolve, so long as it's a vaccine, which is pretty useful. So you can even, in theory, you can have your Mastemon Digivolve for 1 instead of 5 if you don't have the DNA pieces for it. That's pretty good. And then with the TK, you get to recover 1, which is awesome. So pretty good there. And it's a very cheap cost for 1, which is good compared to our usual ones, which cost a lot more. Only 1 Flame Hell Scythe, mainly because I can't fit any more right now. So I would like to run 2, but of course it's hard to pull pieces out that you need. So 1 Flame Hell Scythe and 3 Chaos Degradations for me, because you can't not run this. These are just too good not to run. Even with their high cost, they're still very good. And when they show up in security, it's even sweeter, which is awesome. So that's basically the Mastemon deck that I'm running right now. I would say it's pretty close to max rarity. We're pretty close to that. I do have a Flame Hell Scythe that is a pre-release one, which I'm just realizing. I don't know where it is. Might be in my Ophani loop deck. But yeah. So that is pretty much the deck. So if we are taking this to Nats, it should be pretty interesting to see how it plays against, a lot of other decks, considering Mastemon is usually a slower build deck right now because it doesn't have as much support. But when it does get its support, it's going to be amazing, which will be super exciting. But anyhow, that's the Mastemon deck. Hope you've enjoyed it.